And welcome to the Midday Show. I am Jeff Everett. He is not joshed away. You see the joshed away up there? You're going to be joshed away today.
Who?
Joshed away. He was our guest while you were gone. So when I updated the graphic, I think Josh's name stayed. So you're officially joshed away today. I'm Jeff Everett. He's Mark Messina. Welcome to the Midday Show. We're continuing the 12 days of giveaways still. Mark, how are you feeling today?
If I was in charge of the graphics, which I'm clearly not, and I had some imposter's name over you, you would be so butthurt. Yes, you would just curl up in a corner and cry.
I think I would roll with it.
Would you?
Think so?
You think so?
I think so.
Well, then I'm going to try to roll with it.
You should. Josh,
you said Josh was a good guy.
He was a great guy.
All right, then I'm good with that.
He was a really good guy, really great guest. You look like a Josh. You know how sometimes like you say a name and if your name was Josh, it wouldn't have surprised me. You don't think so? I've been told I look like a Jeff. Like there's just whatever it is, like just Jeff fits me. You don't think so?
Maybe.
No, you don't have people in your life that like that's what that person, like that's what they look like. No.
I think I kind of look like a Kobe or a LeBron.
That's you wish. You wish. We already have one hug. As you already know, Mark likes the hugs.
We got hugged.
In order to have a chance to win, you can like, you can comment, you can share, you can do one, or you can do all three. Today's winners liked, shared, or commented on yesterday's video. If you do it on today's video, you have a chance to win tomorrow.
How about Shaquille? Do I look like a Shaquille at all?
You know, it's funny. There's going to be, like, coming up, it is interesting, some of these like pro athletes' names, they're going to be commonplace. Like you're going to know.
Oh, you see, if you watch college basketball, you see Shaquille's.
Yeah. You're going to know them.
It's not overwhelming.
Yeah.
But there's more than one Shaquille that you will see on TV this year playing college basketball.
I was just having this conversation with a friend. I'm really excited about Chet Holmgren. He's the like #1 freshman in the country for Gonzaga.
Okay.
But I'm excited for all the wrong reasons. I'm excited because if he ends up being, he's a white American basketball player. He's probably going to be the #1 pick overall. It will be the first.
Is he the 7-footer?
Yes.
That weighs 150 pounds?
Yes.
Okay.
If he's the #1 overall pick, there has been Asians. Yao Ming went #1. He was Asian. Luka Doncic wasn't #1, but he was, the most talented. He's European. This will be the first white American basketball player in a very long time drafted #1 overall. And I cannot wait 20 years from now to meet all the young Chets that come out of this. Because Chet is a good name.
In my generation, when you hear Chet, you go to the big brother in Weird Science.
Yes.
And did you ever see Weird Science?
Yeah.
Do you know what they turned Chet into?
No.
A big pile of poop.
Okay.
Except they didn't use the word. They didn't use the word poop.
Listen, I'm excited to meet.
So that's why for a generation the name Chet disappeared.
Right.
Because we associated Chet.
Well, it's
big steaming pile.
It's going to be. I can't wait to meet all the new Kobe's. I can't wait to meet all the. Michael was hot. I cannot wait 20 years from now to meet all the new Chets. Can't wait for it. Very, very excited.
Okay.
Very excited for it. Again, one more reminder, like, comment, and share on this video to have a chance to win. Hug. Mark's all about the hugs. Today's question, you brought this up. It's a fair question. What is something that people ruin about the holidays? We all have flaws. Flaws.
Yeah, you can take this really, really seriously, or you can take it kind of lightheartedly. I came up with the topic from a lighthearted aspect.
Okay.
And I'll just throw mine out there to begin with. If you've ever been around a place like a preschool, an elementary school, or whatever, where children are making gingerbread houses and they have all this pile of decorations that they can put on these houses.
Right.
And yes, that is exactly. A whole generation of no Chets. Nope. So it is comical when you have like 4 and 5 and 6 year olds making gingerbread houses.
Right.
They do not look like it was done by an architect or an artist or anything. They look, especially when the kid is kind of wants to just get along to whatever's next. Sure. And it is awesome to see the parents who need to step in and fix their kid's gingerbread house because it's not pretty enough. And they just can't let it go. It's like, this is my kid's art project, but it doesn't look good enough. So I'm going to step in and make it better.
Interesting.
And it makes me laugh.
Very good point, because I want to come right back to it. Have you ever heard the coloring book blank paper theory? Like, have you ever heard about this? So there is this aspect when you're a kid and you have the coloring book, and there's this conformity of trying to stay within the lines. And so I have read that younger kids should be encouraged to use blank paper, because there's no conformity to it. It allows their imagination to go, rather than trying to stay in the lines with what somebody else created. They themselves now have to create what that is.
I've never heard that theory, but I immediately like it.
So there's also a theory, there's a parental side to this as well, where if there is no lines to conform to, it gives the parent the freedom to relax. It gives them the chance to step back and not worry so much about the kids staying.
If your kid's a lousy colorer?
Correct. Well,
because the shame that is brought upon the parents.
So to your point, like, it just gives the parents the opportunity to take a step back and go, like, what are you creating? Like, oh, that's neat. Because now there's no longer these constructs that the parents are concerned that their kid may or may not be fitting into on the page of the paper. So anyway, I've always been fascinated by that concept, but it goes along with what you said. We just recently did a gingerbread train with my niece. This was this past weekend, and I give my girlfriend a ton of credit because she's a little OCD, just a little bit. I give her a ton of credit. She let my niece just run train all over the gingerbread train. There was streaks, there was candy everywhere, and I give her a ton of credit. Never once did she try to step in or try to say, don't do that, or maybe we should do. I give her a ton of credit for just letting her kind of create her own mess, per se, on her first effort doing something that was gingerbread.
Because it's awesome that way.
Yeah.
I remember when my oldest daughter did it, and my oldest daughter's really nerdy, and we were in preschool, and she did one, and she put in about 2 minutes of quality effort.
Okay.
And they had all these things that they have gum drops and all these aspects you can add to the house, the cream filling to trim it and all this stuff. And she put a couple things on, and it was a mess. And she was like, that's good. And I said, you sure you want to quit there? And she goes, yep, that's good. And I said, okay. And that's when I stepped back. And she might have been the first one done, because she put in about the least amount, because whatever she wanted to go do was more important than this.
Yeah.
And that's when I remember stepping back and watching kids leaving the table and watching all these moms finishing the gingerbread houses and cleaning them up. And I was like, what is wrong with you?
Now, you'll get a kick out of this, going back to our gingerbread train we just did. So I'm at the table with my girlfriend, my niece, my sister, her daughter, right, with me so far, and my mother. Okay.
Why are you invited to this table? Why are you at the table?
Because I'm fun, I guess.
I'm
sitting at the table. Everybody has their own gingerbread part of the train, right?
Okay.
So that eventually we will put them all next to each other and it will look like a train.
Okay.
So as we're doing this, my mom keeps saying, look at the box, look at the box. And I know, because the box looks beautiful.
Yes,
it looks stunning. And my sister, who is an elementary teacher, she kind of keeps saying to my mom, like, you don't need the box. You don't need the box. And it was just very much like kind of what you're hinting at. My mom knowing it could be this beautiful train, and we're capable, and like we could, and my sister at the same time being like, she's 3.
That's not what it's about.
She's 3, and this isn't what it's going to be about, and this isn't. So it was funny.
That would have been worth me sitting at the table the whole time.
Yes.
Just to see. Well, I don't have a sister, but my brother and my mom going. My mom going, oh, we can make it prettier. It's like, we're not trying to make it prettier. Right. That is awesome.
But I will say this. There is a side to it, especially with my mom in this story and with some of the parents that you and I are talking about. There is a side to it where, like, in their world, that is how you help. The way that you can give the most possible help is trying to guide them the best way you see fit. So it's hard. It's very, very difficult sometimes to just let it go. And that's why I gave my girlfriend so much credit for just letting my niece just run shop over this thing.
Maybe she was afraid of your sister. Could your sister kick your girlfriend's ass? Like hair pulling, like, I want to kill you. Would she win?
I mean, this is a completely different conversation. My sister she was a very good athlete. a very solid individual.
Okay.
I say that though, I feel like my girlfriend, she's got a longer reach for sure.
Okay.
She's got the reach, and she also has like the switch.
She would snap and like not come out of it till it was over.
It's very interesting. It would, let's put it this way. They are compatible in the sense that like they will make sure they get what they need. If the apocalypse ever shows up, I don't have a lot of fear for my sister or my girlfriend. I feel like they will get what they need.
Could we pay them to fight and just so we could get a solution to this? I kind of need to know the answer now.
Know? That's the thing
that's what I want for Christmas. I want to see those two go at it. And I've never met your sister, but I think that would be fun.
My sister, I've said this before, she is the most naturally gifted athlete I have ever been around. Ever. She could pick up something tomorrow and would be good at it.
I can relate to that.
I'm sure you can
relate to that.
I'm sure you can. I was what they call a repper. I was somebody who just did it over and over and over again until it worked. She was oh, what's this thing you're doing? Oh, okay, that was fun. After I just won in 3 seconds and then walked away. That was my sister. So
see, I was natural. I was naturally good. I'm just not as good as him. And that was kind of the way every sentence. Mark's pretty good. He's just not as good as his brother.
Oh, that makes sense. Oh,
and it was disappointing to all the coaches coming up through after they had Mike, and they're like, "How good's Mark?" He's pretty good. He's not that good.
Let's go through some of these comments. Heather says the food. I hate when someone decides to get creative with the standard or traditional meal that my family has, which always results in no one eating. That is a really good answer. One that I had not even pondered.
Good. That is good.
I'm trying to think if I've had an example.
See, now I would go with it the other way.
Okay.
I hate when my mom tries to jam like, well, this is what you have to have. And because I always used to say, because like there's a lot of times when the family's around and you get a house full of people, especially when they're younger, and you're like, listen, you don't need to spend 4 hours and just make a big pot of spaghetti and everyone will be happy.
Sure.
And I've gone the other way from Heather of just like, let's simplify it. Let's dumb it down. Let's create things that kids will eat. Because there's lots of times, especially with little kids, because we've raised a soft generation. You'll have 10 dishes on the table and all the kids will eat is mac and cheese, or all they'll eat is turkey.
Sure.
And then you're like, well, why did we do all this? Let's make stuff that people will eat.
The side, I'll play devil's advocate here. The side where I agree with Heather is there are certain things that you're only going to get once a year, twice a year, 3 times a year. So you and I have talked before. I'm like a green bean casserole snob. Like during Thanksgiving and Christmas, I need the green bean casserole because it's just not something I'm getting on your normal way.
No, and I'm with you. Right. I love the meal.
Yes.
Like I love it.
Right.
But when you look at the effort and now that we're older, the kids eat everything.
Sure.
But when they're 3 and 6 and whatever, and you got a kid that's sitting at the table that hopes he gets chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
It's like, listen, this kid's waiting for cake because he ain't eating any of this.
That you can't help with. Jeff, it's game day. That is true. It is game day. Bree says, interesting. I think she's referring to our conversation about the coloring book and the printer paper.
That is fascinating. I had never heard that, but it makes total sense. Yeah. Now, here's my other, not to play devil's advocate with that, because that has nothing to do with Christmas. But is there also then a flip side to it of when, because they're not dumb, even at 3 and 4 and whatever, and they know when they're done, their picture doesn't look like the art on the wall. So when you give them a coloring book with lines, do they feel like they've had more success?
It's a great question. Here's another example that people used before. I was really big into Legos when I was a kid. Okay.
Legos are one of the great inventions of all time.
Yes. There are people that when they open up Legos, there are instructions and you follow the instructions and you build what the box is for. Okay. Then there are people like my grandfather had this old like beer barrel just full of Legos from different boxes and contraptions, and some matched and some didn't, and who knows.
I need to interrupt and say you guys had a distributor, so it was literally a beer barrel.
Yes.
You're not making that up.
I'm not making it up. And I mean, it was as tall as me, and it would get dumped on, and there'd be 8 or 10 kids just all playing with this Legos. Zero instructions, no instructions.
And it's probably a collection of like 10 or 12 different Lego kits throughout the years.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And so it's one of those things where I'm not saying one's better and one's worse. It's just, what is the thing you're hoping to strive for? What is the thing that you think will work? In this case, we just kind of created stuff out of the blue using our imagination. Now, you know what a car looks like, you know what a spaceship, a rocket, all those things, and you're just building Legos. However, there are, like, I struggle sometimes to follow instructions. I do in my life. Like, I'm just not good at following what is like standard or what is protocol. And so I do reflect back to my childhood of like my grandmother sliding blank paper in front of me and like drawing with no lines. And I think about building Legos with no instruction. A lot of the things that I did growing up had very little structure, like standard to it. And I've told you this, I think I've told you a story before about in kindergarten, the very first worksheet I ever did, you were supposed to color in everything that started with the letter A. I just colored in all the things I liked. So like there was a gorilla on the sheet and I colored in the gorilla. So I'm not sitting here saying that this is how it should be done. I'm just simply saying like there are different strategies to everything. You've never heard that story before?
No,
this is a great story.
This is you looking at the teacher. Did you give the teacher the middle finger while you're like, I'm coloring whatever I want. I don't care what you say.
You'll appreciate, I mean, and this is the other part too, and I'm pretty sure I'm remembering this correctly. I did that until like the letter P. Like I just colored in the things I
So they thought you had no idea.
I think they thought that I just didn't understand.
These are the really bright kids. These are the mediocre kids. And then there's Jeff.
Well, my mom was a teacher in the building, which made it even better. But I think I got all the way to the letter P. And then finally it was that moment of like, Jeff, why are you coloring in that? I was like, oh, because I like it. And they were like, well, no, we're trying to color. It just never crossed my mind that like there was a structure or a guidance to like what we were doing. So again, there's positives and there's negatives to it. It's just, what are you trying to get out of it?
Let me say this.
It's a crazy story.
There's a negative to color when you're on the letter A and you color in the gorilla. That's a negative.
That just wasn't
especially if you know that gorilla doesn't start with A.
Based off of your objective, I failed. On my objective, which is just coloring in the things I like, I was a huge success. Huge success. It all depends what you're trying to do. What you're
looking that's for. Lovely.
All
that
depends what you're
lovely.
Looking for. So yeah, so it's an interesting conversation.
This one's a genius. Every gorilla starts with every letter.
Yeah, no, just
let's go to B. Still the gorilla. Let's go to F. Still the gorilla.
If there was an animal on the sheet, it was getting colored in. I loved animals, so it was getting
that
colored
is
in. It
awesome.
Didn't matter. Karen says, when someone complains he or she doesn't like the dinner when a hostess worked for days getting it ready. That's a good point.
Amen.
Good point. I don't have much more to say about that. It's just a very valid point.
No, I'm with you.
Leona, when you join the Secret Santa gift exchange and someone makes a point to find out who each one has and tells, what's the point of exchanging names secretly? Do people do that? People like give away who they're...
Apparently. I did not know people did that until right then. Unless it's like... See, a lot of the Secret Santa stuff that I've been involved... I think this is probably because I'm the guy. If I'm in an office Secret Santa, the seriousness of the gifts is low.
Okay.
Like you're not trying to get something, or we did, I don't know what we called it a Chinese auction where you can steal the gifts from people.
Yeah, it's called Evil Christmas.
Oh, okay. Well, isn't
it called White Elephant too? I think
it's got lots of names.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, when you have one that's really ridiculous, then people want it. It's kind of like, oh, that's the best one. Who provided that one? Yeah, but I can't see someone around like, what did you give? What did you give? What did you give? That's stupid.
That's weird.
That person, Leona, you should slap that person.
Yeah, that one's a little weird. Again, the question, what is something that people ruin about the holidays? We all have flaws. Heather, Mark, we did dumb it down. We do sandwiches, mac and cheese, and veggies. It's the creative recipes that screw it up. There you go.
Oh, so they're already ahead of the game.
Yeah, that's true. Keep it simple is what she's saying. She's saying, yes. Kiss, keep it simple, stupid.
Yes. Did you So on the flip side, and I wonder, so this is what she said. You have the person who makes that fancy thing and wants everyone to eat it.
Yeah.
And no one eats it because they're like, we don't want the fancy thing. We want mac and cheese.
We want the
this is what we do.
the traditional.
This is what we do.
Makes sense.
That does make sense. I've never had anyone do that, but I could see that might
Makes sense. Mary says, being a Grinch, if you can't say something nice, then stay out of the conversation. Don't need to hear about Cousin Joe who hadn't sent you a card in 10 years, or Aunt Sue who gave you pot holders and you gave her a mohair sweater. First of all, Cousin Joe and Aunt Sue sound delightful. Just in case they're real, real people, Mary. They sound absolutely
I'm
delightful.
guessing Mary picked a generic names.
Cousin Joe and Aunt Sue. Yeah, I think part of it too is it depends who you're talking with. I certainly have family members or friends where we know what we're discussing and we know we're on the same wavelength, but don't just walk into the room and just start talking about somebody.
Well, there are people that are wired. People want to engage in conversation for the most part. And again, now there's people that don't, who would be very happy to sit in a room and not talk to anyone the whole time. But most people want to engage in conversation. And there are those people who the most natural way for them to contribute to a conversation is just to complain about something.
No, that's true.
That is their go-to. And so it's hard for them to chime in unless they're complaining.
That's true. There's also the aspect of sometimes the quickest way to bond with somebody is to find something you both hate. Most people think it's to find something you like. It's actually to find something that you can
Well, that's true. Just where you agree.
Yes.
And you don't have to agree to love something. You can agree to hate something.
And that actually a lot of times bonds people together more.
Just as long as they said it's not over the meal. I agree with that. The one that drives me nuts is like when they say we're going to eat at 3 and it's like 3:20 in the meals and people are complaining about it. You're like, you didn't do anything. They prepped it for 3 hours.
I'm glad you brought this up because it kind of goes into just what's wrong with me as a person. One of my biggest things is the time constraint around the holidays. So people that are just such a stickler that like we should be sitting at the table at 4. Well, we got there at 4:20 and the world didn't fall apart and everyone's still smiling. So it's okay. Like everything's like, we're fine. We were going to open presents at 7. We started at 7:30. It's okay. Like the world is fine. Like the time stickler during the holiday really rubs me the wrong.
Well, but that's you because you're not a time stickler.
I know.
So I want to know what happens during the holiday season if you have practice at 4 and one of your kids rolls in at 4:20.
Honestly, it's funny you say that. There are not a lot of times. There are times where if I'm the one opening up the doors, I will tell them if you're there at 6:55, the door won't be open. Like it's 7 o'clock. I will be there at 7 o'clock and we will get going. There's a lot of times.
But that's on the early side. I mean, the late side.
What
do you do if a kid's late for practice?
Honestly, it depends on the timing, the situation. There's a lot of things that go into it. A lot. And I'm like copying out.
No. I don't I believe everything you just said. Yeah. What if he has no good reason other than he was just Jeff and showed up 20 minutes
usually
late?
Ball above the head in a couple of laps. That's typically what it is.
So that's it.
But the other thing too, though, is like you're not trying to like make it a thing. Like just put the ball above your head, run a few laps, and like we keep going. Like you're not trying to make it seem like it's this big orchestrated issue.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
Okay.
If you're a family dinner, Christmas dinner, whether it's Christmas, Thanksgiving, or anything,
okay.
You're eating, people are told, we're eating at 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
If someone's not there at 2 o'clock,
okay,
you start without them?
Yeah, I mean, usually we start.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't, I mean, you're not waiting for them. This sounds very convoluted. I wouldn't expect anything from a player that I would not expect from myself. So I know ahead of time, there are going to be days where if practice is at 3:30, some days I might show up at 3:20. Other days I'm going to show up at 3:40. Other days, because you have a staff and you have other people. And so I'm not going to be a stickler for something that I myself I know I'm going to have that day where I'm there 5 minutes late.
No, I get it. So, I mean, I'm just, as far as like meal times and opening presents times and all that stuff, like, I'm with you. If someone's late, they're late. I don't care.
Sure.
But don't you show up 20 minutes late and then be upset that we started without you.
Sure. That's fine. I have no issue with that.
Okay.
I just think when you think about all the things going on and like trying to organize and everything else, I understand that there is a appropriateness and a politeness to being on time. Totally get it.
You're just not good at it.
All I'm saying is that if that's the thing that's going to ruin your day, I feel bad for you.
And I agree.
I wouldn't, there's so many other things going on and there's other people, and it's just at that, like, if the meal's 20 minutes late, it's 20 minutes late. I personally wouldn't let that ruin my day. If I had planned something out and I was hoping to start at 4 and someone got there at 4:10, I'm not mad at them. Like, I'm not.
I agree wholeheartedly. I've just been at the ones where, and this is kind of a mom issue maybe, that like someone's late and you're just like, well, then we'll just start without them. Where instead of holding up everyone to wait for those people, because you're afraid the people that are late are going to be mad that we started without them.
But here's the funny part, though.
You're not.
The majority of the people in the room don't even know they're late. It's only the
people that are in the room that are starving and ready to eat.
Right.
And
it's only a handful of people. Like, it
depends how big the group is. Yes, I agree with that.
Okay. But the majority of people, like, if they're talking and like being jolly and like it's whatever and they're catching up with it, like, most people don't even know. Like, they don't.
It's just always cracked me up that it's like, well, we're afraid if we start without the late people that they're going to be mad at us. Well, how about you should be worried about the people who actually got here on time? What are you going to be? They're mad at you right now because now we're waiting for the people who couldn't get here on time.
Time is a construct. I'll end it with that. Time is a construct.
Just eat.
It's not real. Do people understand time's something we made up? Like, time is not real.
What is
4 o'clock is something that somebody decided. It's not worth getting upset about. It's not.
So here, then let me tell you this.
Okay.
Tonight,
yes.
Show up at Midwest at like 8:30. And just tell the referees time is just a time. We're here now. We're ready to play now.
That's different though, because there's money involved.
Oh,
it is.
Here we go. So food's not more important than money?
Not if someone. So for example, like a ref's getting a paycheck. It's different. Ref's getting paid to do something at this.
I'm starving. I'm ready to eat.
It's different. It's different.
Okay. I'm with you. Go ahead.
Let me see here.
Do we have anything else?
I love holidays. I love getting together with family and spending the day eating our favorite. I always try to cook favorite food. It's a lot of work, but so worth it. Steven, show up, people. There you go. Steven's with you. He's Team Mark. Like, show up, be there.
And again, I'll stress, I don't care about, like, if people are late and they eat whatever, because who knows what happened. Like, they might have got halfway there and forgot a present and went back to get it. I get it.
Heather's saving me. When you're on the letter A and there's a picture of a gorilla, it's actually an ape. I may have subconsciously been a genius and never realized.
You may have been smarter than
I might have.
And then when it's B, it's a baboon.
See?
And then when it's C, it's a chimpanzee.
There you go.
And then when it's D, it's Donkey Kong.
There it is.
And then when it's E, I'm out.
That was actually impressive.
Thank you.
I'm not even gonna call you out on it. Not being thankful or expecting more from a person gift-wise. That's probably a very common one. Wouldn't you think?
Showing visible disappointment in the gift?
Yes.
I agree.
That would probably be a very, very challenging one.
Yes. I agree.
Do you have people I know people in my life who are awkward at receiving gifts. I feel awkward receiving gifts. When I'm passing out the gifts, when I'm the gift passer outer, when everyone else is done, I still have like 4 left. Okay.
Because I'm to the age when I'm at the age where, like, what do you need for Christmas? And my answer is nothing. Yeah. And I mean it.
Okay. Leona says, our kids are always late for everything. We pretty much have to tell them to come half hour earlier. But Christmas is an exception. With big extended family, you can't expect them to be on time, especially if they have more than one place to visit. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying on holidays.
And I'm good with that.
I'm just saying on holidays, time is a construct. There's too much to be jolly and happy and excited about to let 10 or 15 or half an hour bother you one way or the other. I'm with you. It
doesn't bother me. Just as long as if the meal's at 4 and you show up at 4:30, don't you be bothered that we ate without you because we were hungry.
It's a fair point. Is there anything else that you can think of? Because this was kind of, not that it was your question. I didn't know if there was something else kind of in the back. Like I said, the one that stood out to me is just like the idea of time bothering people during their holiday.
No, I think one of the things that I've never understood is, like, I understand getting dressed up for church.
Okay.
And I understand as the fourth grader getting dressed up with his little clip-on tie for the school chorus concert or whatever, the elementary stuff.
Okay.
I don't understand when you go, when the 8-year-old goes to grandma's house on Christmas Day, that they have to dress up.
Interesting. It depends on the household. I would imagine it also depends on what is expected from the grandparents.
I guess.
Is it like, because I know during the holidays, like I'm guessing it happened more often than now, but it used to be a formal dinner. Like even though you were in the house, wasn't the concept like you got your best silverware out, you got your best plates out,
Wait,
you like everything
in
was
1930 what? Like what year did we
You're
get
saying
the
it's
best
been
silver
later
out?
than that?
I don't think that happened.
You don't think through like the 80s, 90s, like 2000s, like that was
when it's big enough, there's a kids table. How formal is the kids table?
Well, that's the point, right? Is that it's the kids table. So is that what you're saying? Is just because the adults may have a formal dinner, it doesn't mean that the kids are having a formal dinner?
Yeah, the other
I
thing.
don't disagree with you. I'm just, there's a lot there. Let's put it this way. To me, that's a very broad, there's a lot of things going on there.
The other thing that, depending on how far and wide you have to travel, if everything's relatively local, even within an hour or whatever, trying to cram it all into December 25th because you think you're supposed to makes it really tiring and hard on the kids who just got, like, they just got all these presents and they're excited about them and they love them and they got these video games and whatever toys and whatever. Right. And now we got to go because we have to make 4 stops before the day's over.
I think I told you this last year, but I forget what I think the question was like, what are the things you were most thankful for? But I told you I was most thankful that every Christmas Day we never left my house. Which as a kid growing up, I was always and I still like grandparents came over, cousins came over. I told you about how my friends started coming over. I just felt very fortunate that the 25th was never a bustle out the door. It was just the 25th. We are home. We're here and we're staying.
Cramming everything into December 25th is unnecessary. Now this year it's even on a weekend, so it's even. But you can go tomorrow.
If you have multiple days off, if you have time off past Christmas, yes. I would imagine that there are households that that is work starts the 26th. Don't you think?
Yeah.
So I can see where there are households where you would probably have to cram it in. But if you have multiple days off.
But there's still got to be a weekend somewhere.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I get it. I felt very fortunate that I did not have to leave the house.
No, that's good.
Typically people came over, which made it feel good. Last one here, last comment. With an extended family, we had to remind the kids not to say anything if they got the same gift from 2 different relatives. That's a big one. I don't know if I've ever fell into that. The 2 gifts or 2 of the same gifts.
Oh, I'll tell you this one. And that made me think of with extended family. So when the kid's young and the kid wants something cool. Okay. And in my world, my kid has one set of grandparents that's local and one set of grandparents that's not. Mm-hmm. And so there would be times that the kid's like, this is what I want, the PlayStation, whatever, or Madden 25 or whatever it is. Sure. And one of the grandparents got it, but it's not like under the tree on Christmas morning because it's still coming. We just haven't met with those people yet. So there's this like lingering level of disappointment for the kid who's like, this is all I wanted, and why don't I have it? And you just kind of want to say to the 8-year-old, because your grandfather bought it for you, but he didn't get here yet. He's coming tomorrow. Okay. So that is one of the tricks of Christmas too. Yeah. When you actually, with the kids, it's like, what do you really want? And they tell you. Well, then when are they getting it? So that happens as well. This is a first world problem, obviously. Oh yeah, clearly,
100%. Do you want to give away some winners?
No,
not at all.
Not at all.
Canceling it for today.
Let's cancel it. Christmas is canceled. Did I ever tell you the Christmas is canceled story?
No.
The my mother-in-law, ex-mother-in-law, whatever. who is British, and she would come over sometimes for Christmas and stay at our house. But because it's 5 hours earlier, she was often on her own kind of body clock schedule. So on Christmas morning, we would wake up and she's been up for hours because she's used to being 5 hours ahead. And the one day she woke up and told us Slash was dead. Did I ever tell you this story? The guitar player from Guns N' Roses, you know who Slash is, right? Who is like, in my generation, if you're a 80s rock, like this is, she just throws it out non-committally, like, oh, Slash died. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, I heard it on TV. And the first thing out of my mouth is Christmas is canceled. And like, I'm going on everywhere and I'm scouring everything, trying to find the news about, and I can't find it. I can't find it. I can't find it. I'm starting, are you sure? She goes, I heard it on TV. And it was like some guy from The Clash, like the guitar player from The Clash, which is a punk band. It's
not Slash.
So it's not Slash. It was close, but not. And not that his death is any less tragic, but in my world, it was way less tragic because Slash dying would have been tragic. But yeah,
canceled Christmas.
So for a half hour one day in our house, Christmas was canceled until I found out Slash was very much alive, and then Christmas was back on.
So can we give out some winners?
Yeah, sure. Let's give out some winners. Because the moral of the story is Slash is alive, so Christmas is not canceled.
I'm trying to think of what it would take to cancel Christmas. Like, who would have to, obviously a close family member or something like that, but I'm trying to think if there's a celebrity that would have canceled my Christmas. I don't know. I mean, Michael Jordan maybe. But even then, I don't think Christmas would be canceled in the house.
It was canceled for a half hour until I'm searching website.
Quick recap, like, comment, or share on the video to win. If you do that on today's video, you have a chance to win tomorrow. If you did it yesterday, today is your day. You're going to find out if you are a winner for liking, commenting, or sharing yesterday's video.
That should be our topic for tomorrow.
What's that?
What celebrity would cancel Christmas in your house?
That's a good one. It's a very good one.
And then there would be more than one because Slash was on the list, though.
Okay.
How can you have Christmas without?
Maybe you'll make your top 5. Maybe that would be a good one.
There you go. That would be a good one.
Thank you to Weiss Markets for being our title sponsor. Mark, go ahead and shout out. Do you want to just shout it out? Tony's,
Moon and Raven, CBD store, Fresh Life, Break Room, Eat and Run Catering, Rainbow Carpet, Williamsport Moving, Chaos Fun Zone over at the Liberty Arena, Willard's. That's it. We got them covered.
All right, that works. Like, comment, or share.
I got to move stuff because I have presents last year. Let's go with comment.
Comment first. All right, and our comment winner for today is Bree Campbell.
There we go.
Comments winner. Let's see it. That is a heck of a spin.
I have a comment for Bree. Go ahead. Tell us how much you like the wheel. The wheel is good. You did a good job with the wheel.
Thank you.
Last year we had darker green. This year we have lighter green. And the Fresh Life.
Fresh Life.
I hope Bree likes Fresh Life.
That was good. What else? We got like or share.
Share.
Good one. There we go. We're going to find out who the share winner is today. Cindy Getchkin.
I would say Getkin.
It's got to be Getchkin.
There's no ch in there, though.
How would you say it?
Getkin.
Getgin. By the way, you'll love this. I was responding to winners the other day, and I sent one to Kathy, and I believe it's pronounced Yakel. Because remember, we were
discussing.
So in the messenger, after I reached out to her, and she goes, "Oh, and by the way, it's pronounced Yakel," with a big laughy face. So she got a kick out of it. So there you go.
When you're one of those, every class you ever took, you're in college. Yeah. They're like Kathy, Yeager, and you're just like Jekyll. Like you have to.
I have friends that have just given up. They don't even correct people anymore. Do you have friends like that or not really?
Well, it's funny because with me, when we used to have, when Mike got to the big leagues, I would have reporters ask me, because they didn't. How do you pronounce your last name? Yeah. Is it Musina or is it Messina? Yeah. And I tell them like it doesn't matter. Like we've heard both. We say Messina, but it doesn't. Yeah, we hear them both all the time, so either one's close.
Yeah. So let's go. Cindy Getkin is what you're going with.
But yes, you are right. If you have a unique name like Everett, people get it right.
Sure.
If you have a unique name, you are done being bothered by hearing people mispronounce it because you're just like, it's not your fault. Like it's close.
Like our intern.
Yes. Craig.
Yes.
Steve, Alan,
I think Jim was coming back today.
Jim.
See what Cindy gets.
A fresh life again.
Here we go. This is the repeat.
I'm like the greatest spinner. If I was a roulette wheel spinner, the casino would go broke because I could hit the same one over and over and over.
I'm like the greatest spinner. Okay, and our like winner for today is Lauren Klopp.
Lauren, okay, let's go with this. What do you want me to hit and I'll hit it?
What do I want you to hit?
Pick one.
Willards.
Willards. All right, where is it? First, I have to find it, and now I have to get my game face on.
You realize this is going to start every conspiracy theory.
Here it is. Watch me hit Willards. I have to focus.
Real quick, just to it's got to go around at least 5 times.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna. I'm not going Price is Right here and trying to.
It's gonna spin. I'm
just going into that other dimension.
I just want people watching to know it's.
Here we go.
Gonna go.
Here we go. I have to kind of get. Here we go. Here we go. Dude, I'm close. There it went. Okay, I'm not. I ended up halfway. I couldn't have missed by more.
What did we get?
Oh, sorry. Williamsport Moving.
Okay.
They have a Panera gift card. Yeah, I guess they do care. So that would have been so cool if I'd hit it. I was just hoping.
All right, so congratulations.
That's all I don't want much for Christmas. I wanted to hit that just so I could have been cool for a moment.
Congratulations to Cindy. Congratulations to Bree. And congratulations to Lauren as well. Again, just a reminder, like, comment, and share today's video. You'll have a chance to win tomorrow. We are going to cut the show short a little bit today, but is there anything that you wanted to get off your chest? Anything that you wanted to shout out? Anything on your mind?
Today.
Yeah.
It's a very special day in world history. Do you know why?
December 21st. It's the solstice.
Today's the shortest day of the year, isn't it?
That's what I was told earlier.
And then tomorrow's the first day of winter.
Okay.
I think today is the shortest day of the year. Starting today, LeBron James has spent more of his life as a professional basketball player than he has spent of his life not being a professional basketball player.
Pretty neat.
Yesterday was the tie.
Nice.
Today he's gone over.
Pretty neat.
Other than Kobe, maybe the Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
I would guess like Moses Malone came out of high school. Kevin Garnett would have been close.
But you had to stay a long time in the league.
But Moses did. Moses played almost into his 40s. I want to say Kevin Garnett made it to 36 or 37. Maybe. So, yeah, there's a handful of guys who came out
even
of
if you're an
high
18-year-old, when you join the league, which is a handful, you still got to make it to 36, which is a challenge.
The catch is that you probably had to come out of high school or as a freshman in college. If you stayed in college, you're probably not making this feat. The longevity stuff for some of these careers, the Bradys, the LeBrons, some of these guys that are going to retire in the next 5 to 10 years, where they stand in history is really going to matter on what your feelings are about longevity. Now, Brady's is kind of solidified. Like, I doubt there's going to be much of an argument there. But some of these guys, where they fall, like the Aaron Rodgers and the LeBron James and stuff like that, it's really going to come down to like, is it impressive because they played 20 years, or is it impressive because like at their peak they were the best or the top 5 or the top 10? So the whole longevity of athletic careers is going to be really interesting.
The greatness of did your star burn the brightest, or were you really good for a long time?
Right.
That is and one of the places where society was really wrong, and I love the times that people puff their chest out and they tell you how things are going to be, and then they end up being wrong. Anyway, we'll get when the money started going crazy. Like I remember when a $3 million contract was out of this world.
Sure.
That society had all said, well, these guys aren't going to stick around and play a long time because they're going to be rich and they're going to quit.
Yeah.
And what the opposite is, guys keep themselves in great physical condition now because they're so uber rich, and they can pay for this trainer and they can pay for this chef and they can do this, and they end up staying. Like, we look at Brady right now and just think of Aaron Rodgers is 37 and is doing things as a 37-year-old that 20 years ago no one even dreamed of.
Absolutely.
Now, they protect the quarterbacks a lot, but they get a lot less beat up and all that, and I get that.
Sure.
But people thought that nobody would stick around because they'd be too rich.
But
and now they're sticking around even longer because they're rich and they're getting richer.
But they know things. Like there's some stuff that's fascinating. There was a piece that just came out about LeBron James, and right now he is claiming, because there's no way to know this.
Right.
LeBron James is claiming that he sleeps between 12 and 13 hours a day. And so, like, when you think back, like, there's no way Magic Johnson was sleeping 12 or 13 hours a day.
Michael Jordan
Like,
didn't sleep 13 hours a week.
No, right. And so there's even just little subtle things about what they know about the body and rest and how much it matters and REM and all, just even those subtle things that cost $0. We just understand the value of it now.
We'd have to have a hockey fan to tell me this. There was a guy, was it Pavel Bure? There was a guy who slept in a hyperbaric chamber and swore by it.
Okay.
He swore by it.
Yeah.
And to the point that in the playoffs, like he would take it on the road
Mm-hmm.
and he would make sure that because of whatever is in a is it higher oxygen content or something, that he thought it healed him better.
Okay.
So yes, there will be fascinating science studies. Doesn't Tom Brady, isn't his diet like 100% organic?
Well, Steve Nash was one of the real innovators of that. Steve Nash cut like all sugars out of his diet when he was like 30.
Okay.
And it basically changed his career path. So it is, I mean, just, yeah. The funny part is like, we think these people.
How old were you when you cut all the sugar out of your diet?
Let me think about it.
Oh, the timing, we're frozen. We're frozen.
Was that bad timing?
Are we off?
What the crazy part, like you said, like they have.
Where are we? Look at me. Peering into the oblivion. Oh, there. Do it again.
5-year-old.
Do it again.
Know what's going on.
Do it again. This was the joke, and it was so well timed, and we didn't even. Go ahead. Ponder out loud.
This was great.
There you go. There you go. Your sugar.
Thanks.
Cutting the sugar out of your diet. It was good. We were just frozen. I am Josh because Jeff is either lazy or dumb. I
just didn't change the name on the graphic. But anyway, like I was saying, you brought up like the money and it helps, right? Like it all helps. But the crazy part is some of this stuff, like cutting sugar out of your diet doesn't cost anything. Like getting more sleep doesn't cost anything.
No, that's true.
So it's some of the stuff.
There's a commitment because how many people are like, well, I'm not cutting the sugar out of my diet.
Sure.
Well, if you can play 3 more years and it's Steve Nash playing 3 more years is $30 million.
Right. Exactly.
So is it worth it to cut sugar out of your diet for an extra $30 million?
Yeah. There's just a completely different understanding because before I can remember going through college and even first getting out of college. And I can remember I love to nap. Like I do. And I can remember like, oh, if you nap, you're lazy. And now like they're coming out with all these studies that prove like, well, no, like if you're sleep deprived, like your mental health deteriorates, your physical health deteriorates. Your eating habits have been shown to change based off of whether or not you're sleep deprived or not. And it's I don't know. It's funny what we viewed as weakness and what we're now learning is that a lot of this stuff isn't weakness. It's actually just ways to rejuvenate your body and keep you going longer than you would have otherwise.
Well, I've always had that argument because I don't mean to pat myself on the back. I'll bet I'm a better napper than you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm very good at napping. And I've always had, whether it was my mother.
You're so serious right now.
I'm good. When it was either my mother or my ex-wife, or that they would always say, if you take a nap now, you'll be up all night. And my argument was, well, I'll sleep when I'm tired. And if I'm not tired at midnight, then why do I need to sleep at midnight? So yes, I would agree with you in the whole like extra sleep and the REM sleep. And then, if you take an hour and a half, 2-hour nap, which I usually don't sleep that long, but like an hour nap, well, then that's an hour less sleep. So if I stay up later and I get up, I'm good because I'm already an hour ahead.
Yeah.
And I would agree with that. There's lots of aspects of sleeping. There's a rumor that Thomas Jefferson never really went to bed, that he just took like 2-hour cat naps whenever he was tired.
Sure.
And he was kind of bright.
Yeah, no, there's lots of bright people that like I said, I think we're just getting to the point now where it's not so much questioning it, but all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a second, like maybe this is what I need, or maybe this is good for me. And it's interesting because you also see really bright people that don't sleep. Michael Jordan was infamous for never.
He never. That's why I said when I said he slept 13 hours a week, I wasn't kidding.
It's been said that like Beyonce like almost never sleeps when she's like on tour or creating her albums, and so it is. You know, I guess everybody's different and everyone's looking for a different edge or what works for them. But I think it's being proven now more and more that this longevity stuff, what you used to think, just throw it out the door, because some of it's just not. This idea that like when you're 35, your physical peak is over. It's not. That's just not the reality anymore.
So you're just hitting your physical peak.
If I slept 12 to 13 hours a day, cut out sugars, started running again. Sure, why not?
John Gruden was an infamous 4-hour sleeper at night. He talked about it. He's like, I went to a doctor. He's like, I go to bed at 11. I get up at 3:15. I can't sleep anymore.
Yeah.
And I went to the doctor and they ran all these tests. Like, is something wrong with me? And after a while, the doctor's like, no, you're good. Consider yourself lucky. Cause he'd like, I get up at 3:15. I'd go to the office. I'm in the office watching film at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Sure.
But I didn't want to be like, am I killing myself? I don't want to do this, but I can't sleep anymore. Yeah. And he's like, the doctor said, you're good. If that's all you need for some reason.
Yeah. It's interesting. The other part of sleep, because I was someone, the guy from Harvard just tweeted this out a little bit ago. You have to remember to nap in 1940, to take a nap, the average life expectancy was like 50. So you only have 50 years. The national life expectancy now, like high 70s, like low 80s. Now I know like there's some data coming out that shows that is finally starting to actually like peak, like it's starting to actually go the other way in some generations. But I mean, the point I'm making is you're talking a 75% increase on your life expectancy. So now all of a sudden, I mean, what's a nap when you're 35? Well, you know, like you just the point I'm making is you have significantly more time to do some of this, and some of that longevity, we're learning these habits can actually help you with that longevity.
Well, there were lots of cultures geographically that napped in the middle of the day because it was too hot to do anything.
That's a great point.
So they napped every day. The siesta, the Latin American siesta was just because it was too hot to work.
Yeah.
So you worked early and worked late and slept in the middle.
The ones that always impress me, like we mentioned Jordan, Beyonce, really anybody who lacks sleep but has to use creative juices, they always shock me, because just the idea of the emotional toll of not sleeping, right? And just not being able to rest and then to be able to still get into the headspace of performing or creating or whatever it may be. I'm blown away by the people that are able to do that, not sleep and still consistently create and perform.
No, I'm with you.
Those people,
I mean, that's why they are who they are.
Yeah, they're beyond unique that they're able to pull that off. So, anything else?
We are beyond unique. We just can't pull it off.
No, I cannot pull it off yet. Amber says, I feel like I want to nap right now with all this nap talk. Go for it, Amber. No one's stopping you. George, I want to believe anything that comes out of LeBron's name. He claims 12 to 13 hours. That's what he says.
I don't know. I like LeBron. I've always liked LeBron. He's not as good as Michael Jordan, but he's close. He's good.
He's definitely in my top 5, maybe in my top 3. I have to sit down and reevaluate. I have not made my list in a very long time. I should do that.
If he's not in your top 3, we'll have the 30-second basketball discussion. If he's not in your top 3, who are 2 and 3?
So I've told you this several times before. I still think Wilt Chamberlain is unbelievable. But I think Wilt, Kareem, and Bill all get thrown out the window because they were 7 feet tall and they played against nobody. Go back and just watch some of the clips. They weren't playing against stiffs. Like, this wasn't like they weren't playing against other really good athletes. There were other good athletes
that were 6'3".
I disagree. There are games where you watch where Wilt Chamberlain is being guarded by somebody that's 3 inches shorter than him. No different than Rudy Gobert right now is a foot taller than everybody on the floor. But he doesn't grab 25 rebounds and score 50 points.
No, Wilt was a freaky athlete. I'll give it that.
So
both on and off the court. So Wilt was a freak.
There's this idea with LeBron and Michael and Kobe and some of these other guys that because they weren't the biggest guy on the court what they're doing is so much more impressive. And I just don't necessarily fall into that camp. I've
see your
argued with
argument.
people. If Wilt Chamberlain walked out there today, he's a 40-20. It's not even close.
First of all, he'd be 75 years old.
Good one. Any other ones, Dad?
It's a famous Ty Cobb line.
Yeah.
And they're like, Ty Cobb, they ask him this one time, if you were playing baseball today, what do you think you'd hit? And he said, I'd probably 290. And they're like, that's it. He goes, well, I'm 72 years old.
It's pretty good.
So it was a great line.
There's a good Chicago Bulls one going around because they're like, how much would the Warriors beat you by or whatever? And Michael goes, oh, it'd be a good game. You have to remember, we're all in our 50s now. So like it's a good one.
Yes. So there you go.
Yeah, if you've never seen it, Wilt Chamberlain, YouTube, go watch the black and white. He is an absolute freak of nature. I think the fact that people don't even have him, for most people, the conversation is Michael versus LeBron at this point. And the fact that it's not Michael versus LeBron versus Wilt is blasphemy to me. It's crazy to me that he's not.
You know, someone else, if you want to go look through highlight film, who got lost in time, if you want to look through highlight films about a freak of nature, go pull up some O.J. Simpson runs.
Okay.
O.J. was like 6'2". O.J. was not a little back even 50 years ago. Mm-hmm. And he was big, he was strong, he was fast. And now he's become, the most famous villain probably of modern times.
Right.
He's the who's the one? The greatest criminal, Lex Luthor. He's the real world Lex Luthor, the greatest criminal mind of our time.
Right.
And but watch his highlight. He was unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal.
No, I'll have to do that. The NFL doesn't do a great job on YouTube. However, the NFL wormhole on YouTube, I've never fell into, and I should sometime. Like I should go back and watch.
There are some running. O.J. Simpson, Gale Sayers. One of the ones that has totally been lost in time is Billy Sims, who was a running back for the Lions who just shredded his knee.
Okay.
But he has a highlight. Billy Sims, if you Google Billy Sims face kick, he hurdles a guy like running backs hurdle a guy. Mm-hmm. He hurdles a guy and then kicks the next guy in the face mask. And it is one of the great highlights of all time. And now he's like a farmer in Oklahoma, just like doing his thing. Okay. He was awesome.
I have to look it up.
There's my contribution. There's my Christmas present to the young world. Google Billy Sims.
That works. Thank you guys for watching the Midday Show. Thank you to Weiss Markets for being our title sponsor. And be sure to go to NorthcentralPa.com for all your local news. Like, comment, share today's show for a chance to win tomorrow.
That's it. That's all I got.
I'm Jeff Everett. He's not quite Joshed away, but
not yet. Maybe tomorrow I will work my way up.
Quite Mark Messina. Thank you for